Now we'll discuss human haptics because it's important to know something about human capabilities and limitations in order to design useful haptic devices. We study human haptics for a few different reasons, and by we now I mean the world, not just haptic technologists. First of all, we do want to understand how humans use the sense of touch for basic science. It gets to the heart of what makes us people and how we interact with the world if we can understand how we use the sense of touch to make decisions, to generate emotions and feelings, and create physical interactions with the world. We also need to understand human haptics in order to cure certain diseases and deficits. In an earlier video segment, we talked about people who have lost their sense of touch. These patients, if you could truly understand the sense of touch and where it's generated from, you could potentially cure them if you had a really deep understanding of haptics. In addition, those patients actually provide an important source of information for what it would be like to live without haptics, and they also teach us something about haptics itself. Of course, what's generally most important to me as an engineer is that I want to understand human haptics in order to make useful and effective haptic simulations. If we know that human tactile sensing resolution has a certain amount, it lets us know that our haptic simulator has to be at a certain level of fidelity. We also know that if humans can't sense forces below a certain resolution, then it sets a limit on how good our haptic simulations have to be. So that allows us to be efficient designers and not over-design our haptic devices. In addition, sometimes I wind up designing haptic devices that can be used by psychophysicists. So these are not physicists who are psycho, but psychologists who are in this special field called psychophysics that looks at human perception and movement and understanding how, in particular for the sense of touch, haptics is used to understand the world around us. So sometimes we design haptic devices, which is an application of haptic technology to basic science. An interesting way to think about haptics and its sort of distribution over the body is looking at the somatosensory homunculus, which is a description of how both sensing and motion control is distributed over the brain. This is a very, over here on this left panel, is a very general view of how the different parts of the body in terms of their control and their sensing might be distributed over the cortex of the brain. And the relative size of the different body parts, this is actually shown really well in this figure over here, try to convey the relative importance of the amount of haptic feedback and motor control in those different parts of the body. So you can see that the torso and much of the limbs, there's actually not very much going on. But of course the hands are really important, and the face, the mouth, the tongue, these are all things where we have a very dense array of tactile sensing capabilities as well as very fine motor control. So it's amusing to look at a person's body when it's put in those proportions in terms of the importance of motor control and haptics.